Hey everyone, it's Jordan with Main Deck, and I'm bringing you something a little different today. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hey everyone, welcome back. This week we don't have a deck tech. I wanted to actually bring you something a little different. It is my first time ever doing content like this, so please be nice, and also let me know if there's any improvements I can make in the future. And without further ado, I'm going to give you guys my tournament report for the regional license exam. Full disclosure, the deck I used was the Death SHIGARAKI, and it is not as tested as I normally would have liked. With some recent life events, I don't really have a lot of places to play cards outside of just with my wife at home, which isn't a big sample size, so I was a little rusty to say the least, but it was really nice to jump into some actual competitive events and see people play cards and just have a great time overall. I didn't expect to do as well as I did, having returned after almost like a 2-year hiatus, I want to say, of actually playing any serious amount of UFS or universes, My Hero Academia format to be specific. But I had my finger on the pulse. I was watching the cards. I had product. I just hadn't really slung very many cards. So without further ado, the first round, I'll just use the character names. I'm not sure. I mean, most of these people probably don't care if I use their real names, but just to be safe, I don't want to have anyone's full name out there. The first person, however, I didn't actually get to see who they were playing, as they had some connection issues and decided to just give me the win. They said they had some other stuff going on. So first round, I just kind of got a bye. I had to wait a little longer to play cards, which was unfortunate. But the next round, too, was against a Tokoyomi Under Fire. And having also done a deck tech video on this, and it's one of my favorite decks, I kind of knew what to expect, so it was a little easier to handle. I knew there was going to be a plethora of high attacks coming, so I made sure to pocket some high blocks. I was able to get some pressure, and I knew this matchup was going to be very bursty. Either he was going to explode turn 2 or turn 3 and just body me completely, or I was going to be able to do the same thing to him, given with my -5 health ability on Shigaraki. I just basically had to touch him twice, maybe 3 times to really kill him, because he only has 20 health. Not a ton of defensive options. So the first round, basically that happened. He didn't find big attack strings on his second turn. I was able to do some good pokes and then close the game with, I believe, a Shigaraki decaying grip, making it so his good blocks in hand were just not really able to be played because he needed a big block, +3 or more. So that was able to shut that game out. In the second game, he did have some big clapback. He got a couple big strings on. It was a little tough to come back, and then I was able to kind of just end it with a big string of 4 attacks. I did 1 poke, which was enough to bring him to, I believe, 12, and then I kind of just blasted him down and hit him with my 4th attack, which was a float combo, if I remember correctly, and I was able to plus ultra at speed. 12 speed attack is really hard to stop when you don't have any ready foundations. So I was able to close that game fairly efficiently. Yep, things went good. I didn't make any mistakes on that one in particular. He also played fairly well. Luck was just slightly more on my side, and his health pool just wasn't able to deal with the barrage of attacks I was sending out. The third round, actually, we'll have linked below with a timestamp, assuming it's still up. It should be. It is the round I actually got to play on stream against a Midnight Chaos. I've heard a lot about Midnight decks, and I was really scared actually going into this. I wasn't sure what to expect. He was playing under Chaos. I knew there was probably going to be a fair amount of high attacks, so I tried my best to hold some high blocks. It ended up working out. The first round, actually, I kind of was able to just control him into a corner, and I'm not sure whether he just didn't have any foundations to play or was just pressing that risk a little too hard, after, I believe it was after my turn 2, I had him down to 1 foundation, I think it was. I really kind of blocked him out of resources, and I had almost a full board, so it was really easy to send, 1, 2, maybe even 3 attacks out and know that he couldn't do a lot back to me. As long as I had 1 block in each zone, I felt pretty confident that whatever he threw at me, attack-wise anyway, I'd have something to handle it. I was expecting him to build out. He ended up, like I said, wasn't sure if he just didn't have the foundations to build or if it was just unfortunate that he checked attacks when he tried to play attacks. He got a little too aggressive and it kind of bit him there. So I was able to take first game pretty easily. The second game, however, he learned from his mistakes. He did 2 full turns of building just to make sure that my destruction wasn't gonna really hamper him all that much. He would always have resources to do a handful of attacks and then build some, which he did. I got to see some of the spooky stuff that Midnight can really throw out. Boosting speed made it particularly difficult, and with this in mind, I made sure whenever I had plus ultras, unless it was going to kill him or potentially kill him, I just held those in hand. I knew I would need them. They came in great handy. He was also playing Ice Storm, which I remembered had a enhance where you need to block with foundations. So once things got to the point where that would be pretty beefy, he got a couple of throws on me in the beginning, really stacking that momentum. I was expecting an Ice Storm at some point because I had saw it get milled at some point in the first game. So it was the big scary thing. Either that or a 1.3 million volts was going to be pretty dire as well. So I was really holding on to at least 1 low block every single turn, expecting that, and I made sure it was a foundation. So I wasn't keeping any merciless rushes because I didn't want to have the chance that I'd expect the 1.3 million volts, which I can block with an attack card, and then he threw some big Ice Storm, which he actually ended up doing. He ended up going all in on his, I believe it was his last turn that he had, on an Ice Storm that would have killed me had I not kept that foundation in hand. So with that foundation, I was able to stop that Ice Storm, thankfully, with the help of a shock absorption. I believe I was able to cut the speed down enough to handedly block that. And it was a full block, so I was able to, cut some damage with that. And then the next turn, I was able to clap back really hard as he was all tapped out. And he had, I think, like 1, maybe 2 cards in hand, but without any resources, it was really difficult for him to really stop my advances. And I knew I had to close it out there because if he had another turn, I was pretty much on death's door as well. I was under 10 health. Midnight with, a hand of gas could have easily just ousted me. So I also kind of just went all in. If my last attack wouldn't have hit, I probably wouldn't have had it. So if I remember correctly, Decaying Grip came in handy there as well. That was the final attack that I threw, and he was not able to stop it, and it just barely eked him out of that last little bit of health. Round 4, I was feeling pretty good. I had won a couple games. I was expecting to just kind of lose and be in the loser's bracket all day, just playing, but I kept escalating up there. It was an exciting day. The next one, I had Round 4 was a very interesting one. It was Mizo Shoji, and he later sided into Amina, and he was playing under life. This one was a very tough match. This one, we actually ended up drawing. The first match went almost 40 minutes. He was also playing a very defensive-focused deck, and he was the first and I think the only opponent all day that took heavy advantage of the fact that I had pretty much non-existent deadlock pressure. After the fact of this match in particular is when I came to the realization that my deck had basically 0. The only deadlock card I had in the deck was 1 copy of Night Watch in the side deck, and then my Evil Gazes, which has a deadlock enhance, which is, in my opinion, isn't all that great. It's not bad, but it's just as good as his first ability, so that wasn't really a lot of... Basically what I'm saying is the deadlock pressure wasn't even there in that card. It has a deadlock ability, but it's not too far from the ability the card has at base. It doesn't cost 2 health, I don't think, but it's still not, it's not threatening. So he built foundations galore, and he was able to stop all of my pokes, given my main strategy with the deck is to poke once, maybe twice, basically just each turn try to guarantee my 5 health loss. But with his ability to do, I believe he had Wall Clings in the deck, He had bonds for friendship, so he was able to negate a lot of damage and make sure that I went 2 to 3 turns straight without getting a single damage on him, so I was not able to capitalize on that. And he just built massive foundations, had big attack strings, and we kind of just whittled each other down. I went, full defense on him, he went full defense on me, and then I was eventually at the very end, after we had, exchanged a few blows here and there, I got him to about, I think under 10 at one point, and then he was using Mezzo's ability to play some free foundations. I think there was 0 cost Recover Girl's Kiss, so he was able to just kind of slowly gain health back while keeping his defense up. It was very exciting. It was very neat interactions. And eventually, the first round anyway, I was able to get him. I bled all the defense out of his hand. He was not able to block the next attack. And I plus ultra'd a big naval laser beam, boosted plus ultra on damage, and then did any damage I could. And I was able to just barely eke it out, I think by I did 1 damage more than I needed to, but it was rough. And and that was my last attack that turn. So if I didn't do it, there's a good chance he could have killed me with a big attack string on the next one, and I would have been all tapped out because I was really going in on that last play there. But it paid off. Then, surprisingly, the second round, he side decked out of Mezzo and went into Mina. And he played the same deck with a few adjustments, and he was able to play a lot more aggressive, which, with his knowledge of knowing that I had no deadlock pressure now after testing the waters in the first one, he was able to use going into deadlock as his defense, and he was able to then throw and pitch more attacks using Mina's ability to both build any key foundations such as Wall Cling or Bonds of Friendship to reduce the damage to 0 so he didn't have to block things, or play key attacks at the end of his attack strings. And he ended up ousting me with a 5 attack string with a home run comet at the end that he powerful 5'd 2 or 3 times, and just made it huge. And I was out of resources at that point, and I got bodied. The third round, we played 1 or 2 turns, and then time was called. So this, like I said, did end in a draw, but it was a fantastic match, and it was very fun to play the defense on defense. I very much enjoyed that one. The next round, round 5. Let me make sure in my notes it is what I remember. Yeah. So round 5 was another Tokoyami. Again, given my experience with it, I kind of knew what to expect from it, and I knew it was going to be explosive one way or another. Either I was able to, really defend myself and touch him once or twice and end the game quickly, or he was going to just do big railing attacks and eventually break through the defense. Which kind of happened. The first round, I was able to close the game out with back-to-back plus ultra speed enhanced attacks after poking at him once, and then I closed it out really quickly. And then the next round, the opposite happened. I got a few good pokes in, but he was able to kind of recover with some defense and then do a huge attack with 4 attacks, I believe it was, that ended in a big ice storm. That was really beefed up, and I just didn't have the resources to stop it. Then the last match, I made a grave mistake. Even though he had just used Ice Storm, and I, in my third round, specifically was holding foundations against Ice Storm, it just slipped my mind to this one. It was into the day about halfway. I was getting hungry because this is the match that I was starting to get real hungry. I think it was 3 o'clock and we were ordering pizza, but it was not yet here yet, and I had to wait for the match to end to eat. So I was not thinking clearly, and I had destroyed, I think it was even 2 shock absorptions to try to stop an ice storm. And I had an attack in hand, and he just used the enhance to make it so I couldn't use the attack. So I had blown 2 foundations and 2 good speed cuts, and then just had to take the damage in the face. Luckily, it didn't kill me. I was able to end up recovering. He played an In the Typhoon, but I had sided in a Night Watch at some point. I believe it was in the second round or on the third round, which came in clutch here. I drew it right when I needed it. I played it right after the turn he played his In the Typhoon. I knew I had to save it for In the Typhoon, given he's a 7-hand size character and he knows he can just discard any attack I have. I either needed a lot of attacks to bait that out and then keep attacking, or I needed to find a way to get rid of it. And he was he wasn't able to shut down the Night Watch at all, and I eventually closed him out with a double. I believe it was double. Let me double check the notes. No, with just a plus ultra speed boosted Merciless Rush, and he conceded because the only option he had was to use In the Typhoon, but again, I would have just canceled it, and then he still wouldn't have been able to stop the attack. But with the clutch Night Watch, I was able to close that game out. That was a 2-1. It was technically the first loss, I believe, I had in the day. Sorry, no, I won the match, but yeah, I also won one with the draw because we were 1-1. So it wasn't the first one, but it's when the pressure was really starting. I had made my first really major play mistake. I've made some smaller ones throughout the day, but this is the one where my mind was a little degraded. So after I ate pizza, I got reboosted. We jump into round 6. And this one was Sato under order. And I did not know anything that Sato did. I wasn't expecting, I didn't know what to expect on it at all. So it was a fun match overall. First round, I got some great early pokes in, and then I was able to just systematically bleed out all the blocks in his hand and throw one last attack that was just uncontested because he had nothing to stop it with, and it ended up killing him with my -5 health. The second round on this one, however, I did end up taking, although it should have been his round. We were both going back and forth until we got to basically kill zone. He sent out a big Recipro Burst, and he plus ultra'd it, and it was looking spooky. It was going to almost kill me, but he had forgotten that he had Heroic Lineage on board, or I'm not sure if he just forgot he had it at the moment, or if he was just too zoned in on his plan, but he forgot to use the Heroic Lineage to boost the damage, and I ended up surviving that attack with a single Vitality. And then on the next turn, I was able to clap back really hard using, again, plus ultra attacks. Seems to be the classic for me in this tournament. Plus ultra did work both defensive and offensive. It's a fantastic card, and I think I might up it to 3 of in the main deck and then have one in the side in case I ever need it. But yeah, so this game should have been a draw, but it ended up going 2-0 to me due to my opponent making a mistake this time. Like I said, didn't use the Heroic Lineage, and that would have been the difference in murdering me on that turn. So then we go directly into round 7, which was another Sato on order. His deck ran a little differently, and he just got off some really good chains. The first round went to him immediately, the first match went to him. I was completely bodied and outmatched in this one. He had what he needed at the right time. With a flurry of different Ida kicks, different stun abilities, and then one big 1.3 million volts after my whole board was stunned out. There was nothing I could do to stop it. He locked me down and killed me first round. I may have been able to block it at the end, but then I checked badly on that last block. So we go to match 2, and something similar happens, except I have a bad misplay. One of my other big bad misplays that I had that I remember for the day. I played 2 foundations turn 1, and then I had the choice between doing a 1 diff and a 2 diff foundation. I was like, you know what, whatever, it'll be fine. I'll just play the 2 diff, and I checked a 3, and my turn ended immediately. So I had started with 2 foundations, and he clapped back with a 5 build set on his first turn, which was rough. I did, however, manage to even the odds on the very next turn. I did a full build. I didn't try to get too aggressive. And then on his turn, I was able to evil gaze him, I think twice, and I full blocked in that turn. So I was able to destroy just straight up 3 foundations, which evened the odds. It cleared that 5-2 gap, and it set the board back to even, which was a big boost. So I was able to recover from this. I would have been in a much better position had I not needed to recover from it, but nonetheless, I recovered. And I actually recovered enough now that I knew there was a lot of high kicks coming, and I knew there was a 1.3 million volts on the way at some point. I was able to hold back the blocks that I needed and just kind of throw attacks out as need be. After the first round, I also sided out some of my mid blocks for the high and low blocks because I knew those would be the most difficult. I ended up able to, just chip away at him until he was within kill range. And then I did a quick combo that ended in a decaying grip, which locked him out of the only block he had in his hand. and I was able to kill him right as time was called, actually. So this also ended in a draw. So no real loss until we go into round 8. Round 8, I don't have a lot to say about it. The guy played excellently. He was playing Mina under life. I had kind of an idea of what to expect given the life Mina, the Meso Mina deck that I had played before, but this guy had the recipe for what my deck was cooking through and through. He was able to stop all of my pokes for majority of the game, either by just negating all the damage with Bonds of Friendship, or Wall Cling. He used Mina's ability almost exclusively to build those foundations as soon as they came up because he knew he'd need them. And then he saved the Mina ability to kill me with an attack on both sets. He basically just built defensively with Mina's ability until it was time to murder me. While the entire time doing pokes, he also, I believe, at some point, I don't think he did it deliberately, but he did go into deadlock at the end there. But I think it was just because he had such a huge lead. He was like, well, even if there is deadlock pressure, I'm like, he was like 15 health points above me at that point, and it was his turn, so he was just like, whatever. Yeah, I'll just deal with deadlock if it comes. But yeah, he literally ran circles around me both matches. The second one got a lot closer. I almost killed him, and I just didn't have enough to stop his next turn. But yeah, he had everything he needed to counter me, and it just went great. Still had fun, but it definitely was not in my favor. And the 9th and final round. I was very excited for this round as it was very explosive and it was super fun, and I had a great time at this last match. I'm so glad the last match ended as great as it did. I did end up 2-0ing this last match. Oh, sorry. Match 8, if you couldn't guess, I lost both. It was an 0-2 in favor of the enemy. And round 9, however, was against a mirror match. Shigaraki, except he was on evil instead of death. This was I thought it was going to be more defensive and brick wally, like we were just kind of wall each other off. Complete opposite. It was complete blowout both games. It was just explosive. He dropped, like, I think turn 2 he played Gale Force Punch, and oh man, that card is good and it hits hard. And he did the +5 damage, and then his next touch of death was even more disgusting. He almost killed me in a single turn with that. If I didn't have the block required to stop Gale Force Punch, he probably actually would have, because he had the 12 plus the 5 plus the other 5, that's 16, plus the 5 and the health block. Yeah, he got real close to killing me in the one turn, and then I was able to kind of stabilize after reeling really hard from that. I was like, okay, I have to stop everything this guy throws out. I was able to kind of drain his health, do my own attack strings. I tried to stick to my guns as much as possible. The tried and true formula of just poking out once and then holding everything else for defense. So I built hard the first turn. I attacked him once and then built again on the second turn and was able to just hold everything in my hand that I could possibly hold. I knew I needed mid blocks because he had the Gale Force Punch. I did not want to get hit by that. And it just went swimmingly for a while. And again, it was explosive. I think we went 3 turns on that one. After I was reeling from that first barrage of attacks, almost killing me, I was able to just kind of block it out, destroy a bunch of his foundations, and then clap back hard with a couple pokes, and then end it with a ultra. I believe it was a double back-to-back plus ultra, like speed gambit to make sure he could just get ousted. The next round was equally explosive. Kind of knowing what was coming, I had changed out for some, I believe it was I don't remember. It's a Ayama attack. It had a low block. That's all that mattered. He used, I forgot what evil attack it was, but it was a low, and I was able to stop it, destroy some foundations. I got the ahead on foundations, and from that point I was able to kind of control him a little bit. He did also check quite poorly, and then at the end I threw this big float combo. I think it was for like 14 or 15 speed, I believe. I honestly can't remember the final play, but it ended up resulting in him being 1 short to stop the block, and the game went to me. But great player. The evil deck that he played made me really excited to try Shigaraki on other symbols, especially with Crimson Rampage coming out, because it just seemed like loads of fun to just be like, throw 2 attacks, do 26 damage. Like, seems good. Oh, it was great. I had a great time. And overall, I had a fantastic time at this tournament. I ended up making 18th place, which made me a little sad because I was so close to being in top 16. And in fact, after I like crunched the numbers on the round that I had lost 0-2, if I would have won one of those matches and then lost 2, I would have been in top 16. My tiebreakers would have trumped the other 2 people that had 21 points. If I would have had that extra point, made me sad to know that I was so close to greatness, so close to getting Shigaraki in that top 16. But even without that, given my long hiatus and mega rusty playing, I think I really am proud of the showing that I had, and more importantly, I had loads of fun. I'd like to thank Jasco and Carta Magica. I want to thank them for hosting. They did a great job. There was a little bit of weirdness in the beginning, but after the first round, most of the technical issues, I believe, were ironed out for me anyway. It seemed that was the case for most players. And it went a little bit longer, but let's be real, we all expect it to go longer, especially with online matches. But had a great time. And I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. A little bit of extra tidbits here. Some of the things I learned is Plus Ultra. Way better card than I expected, and I already thought it was a good card. Decaying Grip comes in clutch on offense as well. And being able to reflip super regenerations over and over again seems good. The poke build pass is a fun way to play the deck. Highly recommended. Again, we'll have links to the exact deck list I used down in the comments. There's a video I did like a couple weeks ago on it. It's pretty much that exact deck list with an actual sideboard rather than some recommendations. And yeah, you can try it for yourself. Let me know how you feel. If you guys want any change to this format, or if you want to see more more tournament reports in the future, just let us know in the comments. If there's anything you want me to include in future tournament reports, please let me know. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done content like a tournament report, and I'd like to improve it any way I can. I'd also love to thank the patrons for supporting us on this journey, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a great time. I hope it was informational, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.